In this video, I'm going to share with you the 8 steps that reverse my hair loss. I've been losing my hair since I was 17. My dad's bald, my uncle's bald, both my grandfathers are bald. I should be bald right now, but instead of losing hair, each 6 months, my hair is regrowing thicker and healthier. Now, this isn't your usual hair loss advice. I've skipped all that stuff here because I've tried it and it didn't work for me. In step 7, I'm going to share with you the one mistake that was killing my hair and how it took me just 2 minutes to fix it forever. It's taken me over 5 years of trial and error to figure this out, and I'm so excited to share these steps with you. I'm also going to be personally answering all of your questions, so make sure you leave me a comment and let's get into this. Okay, so step number 1, this is probably the most important step, and the step is scalp massages. So every single day, you want to be doing 10 to 15 minutes of scalp massages. So scalp massages are pretty simple. We're just reducing tension in the scalp, and we're also helping to reduce fibrosis and calcification. So interesting point here. We know that if you take, for example, finasteride, you'll be blocking DHT, and you'll basically block all of your DHT. So how come when you take finasteride, you don't regrow all your hair? Basically what happens is, for most people, you just stop further hair loss and you may regrow a small amount. We also know that in, for example, castrates, people who can't produce DHT, that they never go bald. And the same for the unusual people who can't produce the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, they will never go bald. So how come blocking DHT completely with finasteride doesn't regrow all of your hair? Well, the reason is your scalp actually changes. The tension in your scalp gets larger, so there's more tension, and there's also calcification and fibrosis in the scalp. So even though you've completely blocked all your DHT, your hair won't completely regrow because of these 3 factors. So scalp massages, they actually directly deal with these 3 factors: the tension, the fibrosis, and the calcification. So that's why it's so important to do these daily scalp massages. They're pretty easy to do. In our pro area, we have a full demonstration breaking down each scalp massage step by step. So I recommend you go and check that out. That's in the description box below. So go and check that out now. It's completely free and we'll break down exactly how to do the massages. Scalp massages also make all the other treatments and stuff that you'll be doing a lot more effective, because again, you'll be reducing the tension, you'll be reducing the calcification and fibrosis. So whatever you do, if you use minoxidil, finasteride, if you use your own kind of topical products, you make diet changes, this is going to make all those a lot more effective because you're really getting to the root cause of the hair loss. If you look at the pattern of male pattern baldness, where does it start? It starts at the front, and it progresses in this thing that's known as the Hamilton-Norwood scale. So there's NW1, which is slight recession at the temples, and it goes back, back, back. That's basically the same way the tension works. The tension is highest at the front. We know this from taking samples of the scalp and mathematical modeling of the scalp. The tension's highest, and therefore the blood flow is lowest, and therefore the hair follicle falls out there first. So where we do have the areas of highest tension, that's where the blood flow is lower. And this lower blood flow actually means that we have a higher amount of DHT, because in low oxygenation areas, the testosterone gets converted to DHT rather than estradiol. So that's why by increasing the blood flow through these daily scalp massages, we'll actually be able to kind of block DHT pretty effectively. So in summary of step 1, daily scalp massages, 10 to 15 minutes is great. You can always do more if you want. So go and check the link in the description. Go over to that page and see all the demonstrations of how to do it step by step. And daily scalp massages, the number 1 thing you need to be doing. Okay, step number 2. This is kind of related to scalp massages and scalp tension as well. And what it is using a Growband. So basically, a Growband will do a similar thing to scalp massages, except if you're kind of lazy like me, you don't want to be going like this, for half an hour a day, your arms and your hands get tired. So basically what we do is we use a Growband. This is basically a device that inflates an inner tube and it pushes the scalp upwards. So around the sides and the back is where all the tension is. This is the tension pulling down on your scalp. So the Growband pushes upwards and it reduces that tension, and at the same time it squeezes together the top of the scalp, reducing the calcification and reducing the fibrosis. We know that this increases blood flow because we've tested the top of the scalp, the temperature. Does it increase after 10 minutes of using the Growband? Yes, it does. Does the top of the scalp get flushed with blood? Yes, it does. So the temperature increase shows that there's more blood going into there. And we also know that after 6 months of use, people are starting to regrow their hair. So what you can do if you're kind of lazy like me, I just do 10 minutes of scalp massages and then I'll do 10 minutes of Growband. But it's up to you what kind of mix you want to do. If you want to do longer with the Growband, that's absolutely great. That will help and speed things up. It basically works by inflating. You inflate the inner tube, it moves upwards, hold it for a couple of seconds and deflate and it moves downwards, and you just continue that cycle for about 10 minutes. By the end of it, you'll basically feel like you've had a kind of head massage. Your scalp will have a kind of sensation in it, and that's just the blood going back into it. It kind of feels really, really good. So that's really easy to do. So in summary of step 2, use a Growband, use it to reduce the scalp tension, and use it in conjunction with scalp massages, or if you're a bit lazy, just use it instead of the scalp massages. It works really well and it's definitely going to help. So step number 3 is using a topical hair stimulant. So for example, we kind of want to block DHT topically. So that means on the scalp directly into the hair follicles. So in the past 5 years, I've been testing different ways to do this. Obviously, minoxidil is the main way that everyone knows. But for me, that's quite a powerful chemical. I don't particularly want to be using that on my skin every day. There's also quite a few side effects that are associated with it, such as dark circles and, dizziness, other things like that. So me and my team, we started looking at what could potentially work in a similar way to minoxidil, but it's more naturally derived or extracted from plants. For example, safflower extract is fairly well known now. In a study, safflower extract actually beat minoxidil in terms of the hair count. So that's really interesting. That's one ingredient that I want to be using on my scalp to stimulate the hair. The problem though is these ingredients are quite rare. They're quite hard to find, especially in small quantities. And they also need to be extracted and stored the right way so they're still efficacious, so they still work. That's kind of why I started creating my own mixture, which we talked about on the Hairguard blog. And then people kind of asking me, where can I get hold of this as well? Like, you guys are making it for yourself. Can we get hold of it too? And that's kind of how the Scalp Elixir came about. This is a topical product that you spray on your scalp every evening before bedtime, massage it in, and it helps reactivate the hair follicles. It helps block DHT and increase blood flow. That's the topical stimulant that I use. So step number 4 is hair nutrition. And this means optimizing your diet for hair health. So there's kind of a few simple things you can do. I don't want to go into too much detail because, it's different for everybody, but I'll just say what worked for me, and you kind of have to find out what works for you. So one thing that really worked for me is avoiding inflammatory foods. So I'm kind of a bit sensitive to gluten. It's better if I avoid that in my diet. You can find out if you're sensitive to something by taking a test. That's fairly expensive, but you can also try eliminating it from your diet for 2 weeks and then go back and eat a lot of it and see how you feel after that. So for me, avoiding gluten was a big one. The other one is avoiding vegetable oils. Vegetable oils somehow seem to get into all of our foods. They're in things like, tomato ketchup. Most processed foods have them in it. A lot of people cook and fry foods with them. So vegetable oils is a big one to avoid. There's also the food groups that are really good to get into your diet. For example, bone broth is my number one thing that I love. It tastes amazing and it's super good for your hair. Basically has tons of collagen. In the Western diet, we tend to eat a lot of muscle meats, but we don't eat the other side of the animal, which is like the collagen-based part of it. So bone broth, things like liver are also really good to get in your diet, and they're going to be super helpful for hair health. Nowadays, there's a lot of foods that are made out of kind of the same ingredients. So there's things like corn and wheat and rice, and you'll get a lot of processed foods, but they're kind of coming from the same sources. If you're deficient in one important nutrient or mineral, it could stunt your hair growth. So that's why it's important to get these nutrients and minerals from a wide range of food. You know, you want to be eating lots of different fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, and herbs and spices, and just vary your diet as much as possible so you make sure you're not missing one important nutrient or mineral. Another one of my favorites are oysters. These have a really high content of zinc, and it's very bioavailable. So if you take a zinc supplement, well, that's better than nothing, but it's not coming in a natural form. So oysters are probably the number one way to get zinc, and that's really good for your hair. I know they're expensive, but 1 or 2 a week, it's probably enough. So just try and get 1 or 2 a week into your diet. If you do want the full list of good foods, okay foods, and bad foods to avoid, we have that list on the website. There's a link in the description box below, so go and check that out. If you're curious about one particular food, should you be adding it or should you be avoiding it, you can go and check out that full list. So in summary of step 4, when it comes to hair nutrition, everybody is different. People have different sensitivities to different foods. So for example, for me, gluten and dairy, they're not that good, but it's different for everybody. Some people do really well on a high meat diet, and some people do better on a plant-based diet. So you kind of have to find out for yourself. But we do know that avoiding inflammatory foods is good. Getting a full spectrum of nutrients and minerals into your diet is good. And for sure, things like bone broth and liver and oysters, they're going to pretty much help everybody. So nutrition is not the be all and end all of hair health, but it definitely is important. So step 5 is hair probiotics. So I've been traveling quite a lot in the last few years, and one thing I really noticed is there are some countries where people basically have no hair loss. I was in Bolivia about 4 months ago, and I literally didn't see any guys with any form of hair loss, even older guys. It's kind of crazy. So one reason for this may be the gut microbiome. So it's the bacteria in your gut. Is this playing a role in hair health? Yes, I think it is. In the Western world, we have a lot of things like antibiotics. We have fluorides in the tap water, and we have a lot of preservatives in our food. And these 3 things, just for example, they kind of affect the bacteria in our gut. So there's actually more bacterial cells than human cells in our body. So if our healthy bacteria do go out of balance from, for example, preservatives or the fluorides in the tap water, the antibiotics, then that can kind of set the whole body out of balance and leave it a lot more vulnerable to things like inflammation. So one thing that was part of my hair care routine was making sure that I got that good bacteria back into my gut and trying to avoid the things that could harm it, things like preservatives. If you know about preservatives, you'll know, well, what do? They preserve food, and they do that by stopping the growth of bacteria. But if you're eating that food, that's going to go into your gut and it's going to harm it. And that's going to potentially kill some of the good bacteria that are balancing out your gut. The same goes for fluorides. It's in the tap water to stop bacterial growth, and antibiotics are obviously there to stop bacteria growth. So what's the best way, the quickest way, and the easiest way to get those good bacteria back into you and start balancing things out? Well, a good way is to eat fermented foods, things like sauerkraut and kimchi. They're really good to get the good bacteria in. So do we know that probiotics can actually help with hair health? Yeah, there's actually a few studies on this. For example, one study showed that the probiotic strain L. reuteri improved hair thickness and hair luster on mice. And we also know that the right probiotics can help with vitamin D synthesis, which is also really important. Making sure you're not vitamin D deficient is a good way to protect your hair. There's also various other different strains. And what we've done at Hairguard actually is we've taken the top 6 strains that we know improve hair health, and we've put them all in our Hair Biotic supplement. So if you are interested in healthy hair probiotics, then go and check out the Hairbiotic, because it's got the top 6 strains that you kind of want in your microbiome to help protect yourself against hair loss. Okay, so my number 6 step is stress reduction. Stress as a cause of hair loss has kind of been a bit of a wives' tale for a while, but what I found personally is I know if I'm feeling really stressed, I'm gonna notice more hair on the pillow and coming out. And when I'm feeling relaxed and have low cortisol levels, I'm definitely feeling my hair is looking better. Stress is kind of a hard one to fix because, you know, there's probably something in your life which is causing you to be stressed, but I think it's important to take some time and try and fix those causes. Obviously, if it's a one-off event, like, you know, a loved one falling ill, there's not that much you can do about it. But there are some easy, you know, straightforward, practical things that you can kind of do right now just to stop feeling so stressed. So the number one thing that I do, and I try and do this every day, is just some conscious breathing and deep breathing. So breathing basically from your belly, fully in and fully out. If you just do 5 minutes of that, you're going to be basically feeling, you know, a lot more relaxed and less stressed. And I know it sounds kind of strange. Like, am I saying that breathing is going to regrow your hair? No, definitely not. Breathing will definitely, you know, help you feel more relaxed, and that in turn will probably reduce the stress, and it's definitely going to help your hair. It helped me. So that's just one of the steps that I did. A few other things that just helped me, just various tips, but I recommend you do your own research on stress reduction, was writing down negative self-talk, just getting that out on paper and getting out the way, removing, you know, negative people from my life, and just setting up my lifestyle to be as stress-free as possible. And, you know, if you've got a long commute, then you maybe want to try and figure out a way to reduce that. Just any way you can sort of optimize your life and change your lifestyle to reduce stress is definitely going to help. Another practical thing, which is harder to do for some people than for others, but if you can do like a sauna and then a cold plunge routine, for me, that definitely helps reduce my stress. I can feel it after the cold plunge. I'm feeling amazing and totally relaxed. Also, daily exercise really helps. So whatever kind of exercise routine you like, make sure you're doing something, even if it's just walking. You know, walking outside in the sun is a great way to get exercise, reduce stress, and also top up your vitamin D, which helps with your hair. One last thing is an easy way to reduce your cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. There's a herb called ashwagandha. And some people kind of swear by ashwagandha. They say that it helps them feel a lot more relaxed and chilled out, just lower stress levels. And that's actually been proven in studies. So if you want to try ashwagandha supplement, that's definitely worth trying for some people. And ashwagandha is actually one of the ingredients in our Hairguard supplement. So you can have a look at that if you're interested. So number 7 is water quality. So this is probably a bit of a strange one to most people, but water quality, it plays quite a big role in hair health, especially for me. You know, I'm from the UK. Some areas of the UK, we have extremely hard water. That means there's a lot of calcium carbonate in the water, also known as limescale. So basically I found whenever I showered, even if I wasn't using a shampoo, my hair and my scalp would get really itchy, really dry, and my hair would be really thin afterwards. I was kind of wondering why this is happening. Is this just washing out all the grime and it's just leaving my hair how it naturally should be? And then when I traveled to different areas of the world, I found this water quality is actually a lot better. My hair isn't feeling itchy and dry and thin after a shower. So depending on where you live, you definitely want to look into maybe getting a good shower filter, or in some extreme cases, filtering your water, you know, by hand and then showering it, you know, with a big bottle. I know it's long-winded, I know it's annoying, but like this is what I do in some areas of the UK, like London, for example. The water quality is really, really bad. So in summary of that, you know, test your shower water. If it feels like your hair is feeling worse off after the shower, like dry, and your scalp is itchy, then you could try just getting a shower filter, filtering the water, and then pouring it on, or using some sort of bottled water. Just don't put that water on your hair. And in other parts of the world, it's absolutely fine and no problems. So the second part of the water quality step is the water that you're drinking. Tap water, I don't know, there's a lot of debate around it, but for me, I don't really drink tap water. I try and filter the water. Quite a lot of things in the tap water, for example, fluorides, heavy metals, lime scale, just generally things that aren't really gonna help your hair health. And personally, when I try tap water, for me, the taste is like pretty horrible. I don't really like it. That will actually kind of stop you drinking enough water that you should be drinking. 2 liters a day is what they say. Dandruff is kind of, can be caused by dehydration in your body. So making sure you've got enough water and you're fully hydrated with like a nice water source is really a great way to keep your scalp and your hair hydrated. So if your hair is brittle, if you feel like your hair's thin and brittle and your scalp is itchy and dry, then probably a really good way just to sort that out very quickly is just drink more good quality water. I don't want to go into too much detail on like filtration systems and stuff. We've got a resource page about that in the pro area, but you definitely want to think about what water you're putting inside your body, because there's the old expression, if you don't filter your water, you are the filter. So just in summary of this step, water quality, what's going on your hair and what's going in your body, it matters. It affected my hair health. And, since improving the water quality, both in the shower and what I'm drinking, I've noticed my hair is definitely healthier. So number 8 is my final hair care routine step. So this is about shampoos, and it kind of links in with the last step, using better shower water. So basically I used to just use any kind of off the shelf shampoo. And what I found just from research is these shampoos are kind of filled with a load of junk. Really nasty stuff. Things like sodium lauryl sulfate, which is just a foam chemical. It's just there to make foam and to make it lather up. This actually doesn't help your hair at all in the long term. It probably hurts the health of your hair. And it's basically just there to have a nice little lather in the shower. So what I did to start with was I just completely stopped using shampoos, which is fine, and I recommend it to people to try out. Most people wash their hair way too much and they just use these horrible shampoos, and that's just going to strip away all the natural oils from your scalp and your hair and leave it thin. If you're not really comfortable with completely stopping shampooing, what you can try is an apple cider vinegar rinse. So this is basically a really easy rinse you can do just to clean your hair. So dilute a small amount of apple cider vinegar in some filtered water. That will really nicely remove the dirt and grime from your hair, but it will help optimize the pH of your scalp, and it won't remove those natural oils that are actually beneficial and they keep your scalp healthy. And like we know that a healthy scalp means healthy hair. If you take a look at the shampoo in your bathroom and you see a ton of ingredients on the back that you can't say or pronounce and you have no idea what they are, it probably means that you don't really want those going on your hair. So my advice is just throw those things in the trash, because they're definitely not going to help your hair health. So if you're not really into just completely stopping shampooing, one good option is to use like an all-natural shampoo. For example, the Hairguard shampoo. We've just completely gotten rid of all the junk, like the perfumes, the foaming agents, and the texturizing chemicals. And we've just put basically all the good things that you want to regrow your hair. For example, oleuropein, it's a naturally derived extract from the olive leaf. And there's been a few studies on this and how well it works in comparison to minoxidil. So it actually beat minoxidil in quite a few of the studies, such as the hair thickness, number of hairs, and the hair length. So that's one of the ingredients in this shampoo. There's also things like DHT blockers. So each time you shampoo, you're blocking the DHT on the scalp. And it also has apple cider vinegar in it. So it's going to naturally rinse away the dirt and the grime, but also optimizing the pH of your scalp, keeping the natural healthy oils that need to be there. The other thing with shampoo is, if you're finding that you're getting really oily hair, this is probably a lot to do with your diet as well. The oils coming out of your skin, that's more to do with your body's trying to excrete those toxins out of your skin. So if you notice that your hair is always getting greasy and oily, this is probably more down to your diet than anything else. You don't really need, some special shampoo. If your hair is getting really oily, it means your body's sort of excreting these oily toxins. So the best solution for this is stop eating those processed foods, stop with the vegetable oils, get more natural, healthy foods in your diet. For example, fresh lemon water in the morning is really good for clearing out your digestive system. And you'll notice that when you improve your diet, a couple of months in, your hair will stop being so greasy, and probably if you've got dandruff, your scalp will stop being so dry, just because you're removing those bad oils and you're adding in good oils, things like avocados and cold water fish. So again, just if you're needing to shampoo every day, somewhat to do with your diet. So start optimizing that, and also stop shampooing too often. Personally, I shampoo like once, maybe twice per week with the Hairguard shampoo, and that's fine. That does the trick. So those are the 8 steps that really work for me. And I've kind of like honed in on those in the last couple of years, but it took a lot of trial and error before that to get to that point. I don't know exactly if those are going to work for you, but the main point that I want to emphasize now is that consistency is key. If you just do something for a couple of months and you're expecting to see amazing results, it's just not going to happen. You need to, for example, do the scalp massages every day for 6 months to start seeing, improvement in your hair health. In terms of stabilizing your hair loss, that can probably happen in, 1 to 3 months. So around the 3-month period, you'll stop losing hair so quickly. And that's actually not a bad point to get to. Stabilizing the hair loss is really good because it means, things aren't getting worse. And then if you keep going, your hair is going to keep getting better. Whatever hair care routine you choose, make sure you stick with it. Hair just doesn't grow that fast and regrow that fast that you're going to notice big changes in like 2 months. You need to stick with this routine for the full 6 months. You'll notice that some of these steps are about stimulating the hair growth, such as using a topical, and some of them were about stopping the hair loss, such as, improving your water quality. They're kind of these 2 factors, the stopping and the stimulating, and you kind of want to get both of those into your hair care routine. If you're just scalp massaging, that's really good, but you also want to get rid of like the triggers that are causing the hair loss as well. Do both of those things at the same time. And that's how my 8 steps incorporate, the stopping of the causes and the stimulating of the new follicle growth. But whatever you do, just make sure you stick with it for 6 months. So in summary, that's what worked for me. If you want to know more about any of the 8 steps, we have a resource section where I've written detailed guides and in nice little neat modules that you can go and check out. And I'll put a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching. I know it's a long video, but I hope you got a lot of value out of it. Leave me a comment or a question or a criticism or a thank you if it helped. Leave that below and I'm going to respond to them all personally. Thanks very much.